Yeah, this part seems to be different. And it's slightly broken there.
Actually, is it backwards? That looks sort of... No, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
It's actually quite repulsive. You know, you there's something. It's because it's got an organic quality. You half think that you don't really want to touch it, and yet you're compelled to. I mean, there's that kind of I don't know, whether that subconscious desire to touch what you don't really, what you actually kind of are repulsed by.
It says rolling pin, but pretty tough pastry. It's beyond, Mike. It's from some other culture.
Yeah, but I guess like what he's really saying to me is like he's talking about like lost things, or like things kind of disappearing.
Slavery. Death of spirit. I'm just kind of, manufacturing process, and we're all crushed into a box.
It also has this kind of flaky, waxy quality, which kind of makes it feel more organic, and obviously also makes me think of earwax.
I don't know why. He's quite foul.
Crusty. That's what it is.
It's got that kind of wet, rawhide colour.
I thought when I first saw it that it was part of a piece of furniture.
Look, the roughness is affecting the back.
Boom, ch, boom, 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 ch, boom, boom, ch, boom.
So maybe it's a bit like this. You actually go through it because you have to explore a little bit each of the relief.
So you could imagine it going. Or something like that.
Well, I don't know what it says, and it's sort of interfering with me a bit, because I now know that I can see that that's a recording.
Maybe it would take on magic. You could use it in a ritual.
It reminds me of something chewed by a dog.
This is giving it reassurance and warmth and sort of cosseting it as an object.
Well, from my limited knowledge of oscillation and frequency, and I'm trying to work out, is the source at the centre or at the end?
You can hear a sort of a humming kind of electrical, like an electrical noise, like a kind of internal hum from that volume in there.
It's kind of saying something about my grandmother, I guess.
In a way, it says silence, and these parts are the lowest ones.
Oh, it's sticking to the blanket that way. Clearly it only runs that way.
Ooh. I expected it to be light. And soft, and it's neither.
It's quite heavy. It could be a weapon.
It's strange. It feels like it's been made maybe quite quickly and then used quite roughly.
This kind of reminds me of like the caves in my town, because they're kind of like a porous kind of a surface. And yeah.
There is something slightly fleshy about it, something something bound and fleshy.
To me, it feels quite sad, quite sentimental, but maybe that's just me.
I don't think as an object, it doesn't speak to me audibly.
But does this embody a sound? Probably not. Until I touch it. I mean, just without touching it, no.
Up close, it's like a, kind of shape. And then further away, it's more like a, obviously, right?
I can presume each one of these is a word, and there's a gap in between, which is not the slight pause.
And this, which are clearly separated by smaller sections, so pauses or paragraphs, chapters.
So this would be a sentence, I think, and then and then and then this part could be
somebody walking off.
Yeah, someone disagreeing. I'm off. See you later.
So basically, there's 4 parts to the body.
It says encrypted as in something that needs to be decoded.
It says drudgery. It says spending 20 years of your life with calluses on your hands.
Now it's aggressive. Now it's aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and if it was a sound, it was probably like a sound of a bass drum, I guess.
Can't count. Boom, ch, boom, 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 ch, boom.
It's not the same colour as you might see. It's not black, it's not blue, not green, red, orange, violet, or anything like that.
Not many slow opening envelopes, are there really? It's all pretty sharp stops and starts.
It could also be the inverse, like the maximum one being the 0 value and this being the actual content of it. It could very well be nothing at all in the end, right? But
it'd be very different on there, wouldn't it? Because you wouldn't want it to make a sound like that. But the relationship between the two is a much more harsh one.
Quite a big noise floor.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it was spoken, it could be a short phrase, a short sentence.
And the first word is like S, F, H, something like that.
Hello. Or how are you? And the other person goes, I said, how are you? And then they walk away, something like this.
So if it was a conversation or a piece of written text, I guess it would have a main section. Well, start and finish.
This could be like some form of just breathing instead of putting it through words.
I mean, I'm assuming that this is about sound in air as opposed to gradations of the embouchure of the mouth, so to speak.
I mean, if you could control your tongue, you could get all of that. But it is that's what it is. That's what it feels like because you're delivering it from your mouth. That's what you're making your mouth feel like the object as you look at it. It makes you want to make your mouth do that. Make like just the feeling of your tongue in your mouth with all those coarse textures in.
If this was the sound coming out of my mouth, yeah, you could almost taste it, the sound, whatever it would be.
Could be a plosive. That could be a plosive because they often register quite high.
Look, bits of it falling off as well. That's a bit sad.
And I think that time is kind of going up that way. And these are kind of some of my vivid experiences, or whoever made it, it's their vivid experiences. And as we go back down into our memory, back into the past, they are fewer and further between, and there are some things we remember every day, like what our name is and where we live.
It feels very sort of ancient.
It says old, actually.
Very much like the earliest photography by Niepce or something like that. You know, you've got this barely discernible stain on a paper. You know, that's all there is.
It's a piece of history, maybe, whatever this phrase is, whatever these words are.
And spent many, many thousands of years underwater and then sort of fished up.
Says it doesn't belong here.
Acoustically, it's very dead, isn't it? I mean, I guess because it's so dense.
It certainly isn't a quiet object.
So there's some message hidden within it.
Sorry. Carry on.
You could almost argue that it's a piece of art in the sense that it doesn't really have a function apart from as a purpose for us to generate debate in this kind of context of you filming me.
Whatever, it could just as easily be bus on the old Kent Road, it could be anything. And I think you would have a fairly similar object on your hands.
But I mean, it's a kind of a shape, isn't it? Kind of a sort of.
I wonder if there are people that can actually read waveforms.